always been a really good first half, first quarter player, so you got to do a good job on him early on.
Paul George continues to smolder, and I don't know what else you can say about him.
Manufacturing points obviously is a challenge right now.
Harrell from George.
Danger zone. Yeah, they're going to use another one quick here.
George. How about the handle? Cradles the ball to the rim. Counted at a foul.
For Lillard. George for three. Paul George.
This year, that is exactly what you want him to do, especially early on in the clock, and that's exactly what you want that guy to do. Paul George rips the cords and shows.
For the Clippers, who have the best bench in the NBA, George, nice hesitation. He got hit.
And admire LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis. But I have every right to feel like I can very well be the best player on a given night.
When you've targeted a player like Marcus for the time we did, it allows you time to lay some groundwork. And so we're very fortunate to be able to acquire those.
It's crazy. I don't even get surprised by it, though, anymore. Here's Paul George down the lane, down the hatch, counted in a foul.
When you play down here.
George spins away from Drummond, gets the contact, counted on a foul, and give him one more on the house. George showing off the handles, and then shows off the touch.
Paul George with the three-pointer.
Have active hands with speed. You can get out in transition early for your team.
George cradles the ball down the lane, down the hatchet goes for Paul George.
I tell you.
First half, and the Clippers lead by 6. George for another three, same result. And the Clippers now beginning to smolder to close out. He added more three-point shooting. It could happen. George, a step away three. On cue, 69 to 43.
He turns it over. He thought he was fouled. Paul George goes and finishes. Millsap thought about a foul, but backed off.
Always in the corner. I mean, he does a good job of positioning himself like that.
Paul George is alone for the breakaway, goes up on the right hand and stuffs it through. And so the Clippers try to regain some of that momentum.
Minute and a half left here in what has been an intense first couple of quarters. Paul George goes and banks it home. You guys were remarking during the last time out just how hard both these teams are playing.
Wide open looks, he's going to start to warm up on you.
Clippers by a dozen. Great feed in from McLaughlin. Better block from Paul George. This is a Timberwolves team that is playing free and has a ton of confidence. What a strong drive by Paul George.
It's the perfect time to do it right now.
George accelerates, goes down the lane, looks like he's playing hopscotch, counted on a foul and send him to the line.
Bradley short that time. Lou Williams racing up the floor, finds George, steps back, another three. Got it! Paul George lighting it up, and he forces the Lakers to call time.
Surrounded by white shirts, has his footing taken away. Clippers recover. George down the lane, the floater is good. 89 to 77. 49 to play. George down the lane, bullies his way to the cup and lays it in. Paul George with 17. The Clippers trail by 3. For 6 minutes of the game, he only has 5 shots in the last 15 that he's played. Lobs it to Montrezl. Flying around Staples Center like he's got a jetpack on.
But Mike, he was so well coached at SMU. Now, they were an excellent team in his career there. As Horford picks up his third.
Count it and one.
Lou to Paul George, curling, catching. Oh, damn! The Clippers take a 1-point lead.
But they really rely on him. Paul George, little stroll down the lane.
They have as good a two-way wings as we've seen in this league since Jordan and Pippen.
George to pull up three. He cans it.
26 points, 9 rebounds for Harrell.
Expect only about 2 more minutes for these Clippers starters.
He had 50 points with 9.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. How about that? Teardrop runner by Paul George, counted as a foul. Just the second foul for Denver in this fourth quarter. Paul George stops, fades, fires, and fills it up. 24 for Paul George.
They also lost Danny Green. Let's not forget about that. Another champion and veteran big time. Yeah, that was a big time piece as well. You know, I love everything about him. I mean, he plays with the correct mindset.
George, a step away mid-range shot, and he pours it in. He had the first bucket for the Clippers. That's his second. George bullies his way to the rim. Wraparound pass to Montrez. Counted on a foul. Good second effort by JaMychal Green, allowing Harkless for the rebound. Back to George, bouncing into defenders and lays it in.
What a beautiful pass by Lou Williams.
4. In the corner to a wide open Paul George for 3.
Talk about the game being global. This dream team goes over there and wins by 60 and 70 every single night.
Taken away by Danny Green, his former Raptor teammate. Kuzma gets inside, blocked by George.
Shot is off. Comes away with a deflection, the steal. And now George in attack mode in a transition. Step away 3 for him. It is good, and the Clippers lighting it up here.
Getting himself in a position to foul Shea as he was a little out of control there.
George swivels to freedom and lays it in. What a tough shot by Paul George.
DeMar DeRozan is using that screen. Those screens from LaMarcus Aldridge very well. They're going one-on-one against Zubac and continues to win that battle.
Paul George from the baseline jumper.
Bridges did a pretty good job on Leonard in that game in late October. George gets below the dotted line, puts it up and in, counted on a foul.
Drag him down in the paint. And now because Paul George is 6'8" and can elevate right over him, he gave him a little bump to get more space and get the foul on the play for a nice shot.
Man, the rookie, getting the nod again for Pat Beverly, out of the game tonight. George for 3, and Paul George now with 26.
Really valuable time, and taught Siakam a lot about the mental approach of the game. Paul George with just his second field goal of the night right there. He's got 8.
Now he goes to the rim, challenges Turner and lays it in. Oh my! George finds a seam to the rim with the right hand and lays it in.
It's right here, but guess what? Paul George, nice split, nice finish.
Above the arc, struggling a bit this year, just 29%. Paul George very comfortable in the mid-range, fades, fires, and gets the Clippers on the board.
And again, you have
Beverly to Paul George. Defended now by Beal. Step back for 3. He is unconscious right now.
Beverly has the loose ball. Green to George for a corner 3. Yes, sir! 2-point game.
Did they find the round to the deep left-hand corner? Paul George, no hesitation at all. Knocks it down and make it a...
And Gentry and the Pelicans. Lou chased around by Holiday. Gives it to George. A quick catch and shoot 3 is good. 12 threes for the Clippers. 8 rebounds tonight.
George drives right at Tice, gets knocked down.
Such a great person. He said sometimes coaches get frustrated, you want to throw in the towel, but Shea is the kind of player that makes you want to coach.
Jamie, great stuff as Ivica Zubac jams in. And one thing Doc said,
he's going to be a very, very good young player.
George deep into the paint, deep into the well. What rust. Paul George is 3 of 4.
Have attention to detail and doing the things the right way defensively, offensively, consecutively.
Paul George over Troy Brown Jr. Not much more Troy could do on that one.
Trying to restore the possession. George to the rim with the right hand off the window and in.
Pounding Paul George. Zubac sets the screen. George goes the other way. He goes to the lane and banks it home. That's some good basketball on both ends there.
That's your 2 guard or your 3-man, whoever's on the perimeter, the other guy has the responsibility to get back.
George gets into the paint and went to a very dark place.
Oh, you went to a dark? Oh, okay.
George, 2-man game with Montrez, and he flushes it home.
A different role, and he knows how to adjust. This is a guy, as many have said, fits the Clipper culture and the DNA, Brian.
Christina thinks clever move by Paul George. I remember
the floater. No! And the Clippers have it with 100 seconds to play. Ahead to Leonard to the cup, and he punches it in with the right hand.
And
Beverly comes away with rebound number 4. Clippers looking for the lead. George to the rack, reverse layup. Oh my! Reorganizes in mid-flight, lays it up and in, counted on a foul.
Plus, he's willing to give it up. He changes gears, Paul George, and finishes.
Nice look there, Paul George. Great job by the camera crew.
Can't let Marcus Morris Sr. get to the middle. Wow.
It reminds me of a Larry Bird shot that he made back in the mid-'80s from behind the backboard. I don't think they counted that basket. Probably another month or so with a suspension. Oh no, Paul George, make us proud, bounces off the backboard. Oh, Montrezl Harrell does the rest.
They're saying defense to offense, Clipper fans. That's what you're going to see all year long.
George, but he maintains the dribble. Creating space for 3! 6 threes for Paul George. George got it! The Clippers have numbers if they push. To George, to the cup. Oh my! Look out below! Paul George with points 16 and 17.
Pick off by stepping up into the passing lane, and then this is a wind-up, throw it down by Paul George.
Over. Williams to George. Off glass, and welcome to the family, Paul George.
That was a nice play right.
These two teams getting after it. Paul George, corner 3. That's good. Clutch shot from George, and it's back to 2.
Beverly with the rebound. There's George. Another 3 for George.
Prize pickups for the Jazz. The front office continues to do a great job in Salt Lake, but he is out. Hasn't really found his rhythm. Here's a guy looking for his rhythm and perhaps found it there. A 3 by Paul George. To steal it and save it to Patrick Patterson. There's George, last time in this arena. Scored 46 points. Off to a pretty good start. George with a hand in his face. That's a 3. Paul George from downtown. Points in a 104-81 loss. George feeling good. Gets around his defender. Oh, he had him backpedaling and lays it in.
The Clippers coming the other way. Paul George contested by Covington. Gets a finish anyway. What a finish. They come down and give it to Paul George. We come down and give it to Jarrett Culver versus Towns, Covington, and Wiggins.
Yeah, and that time we gave it to Terrence Mann on the turnover. George converts. He's now got 30 points. Time and containing these two players has not yet surfaced here in this third quarter.
He moves to his left.
You like this matchup if you're Paul George.
Does he like it? He cashes in. The Clippers by 5. This time shoots over him. This time knocks it down. 15 points here in the first half for George.
Really no Kawhi Leonard, both expected back to the lineup on Saturday. Here is George knifing his way to the rim and lays it in.
Right now, a 7-point game. Paul George
Banks it home as the shot clock expired.
10-point game. George strokes home a 3-pointer, and the lead is up to 13.
Bonds with his 3rd rebound. Zoo's line here, multitasking. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Gets a screen assist on the previous possession and gets another screen assist. Paul George with back-to-back 3s.
For the Clippers, 29. George. Oh, what a pretty move that was. That paid off for the Clippers.
Oh my. Second was to Marcus Morris. It didn't work out in July. It's worked out perfectly here in February, and the Clippers are stacked for a nice little run as Paul George knocks down a little 15-footer. 25% on the year. George stops on a dime, mid-range shot en route, and he knocks it in. Los Angeles, 2-man game with George and Zoo. Paul George off the window and knocks it in.
And that's, listen,
George, pump fake, then pulls the trigger, gets 3 more. Paul George looks terrific today, 24 for him.
Clippers led by as many as 12, but a nice run at the end of the first by Minnesota. Wiggins with 12, Towns with 11 as Harrell pushes it down in traffic.
Connell may shoot more mid-range jump shots than anybody in the league.
George again, 7 threes, and the Clippers lead 84-65.
Unnatural bounce.
Marcus Smart, oh, what a pass, and then a block. Paul George with the rejection.
And a rough way to open up for Golden State. George on a ball fake out of the timeout, fade away, book it.
That's one way that Paul George has scored effectively in this league for a long time.
Three on the way is good by George. He's got 11.
And you've got to know that he's going to look to shoot the basketball now. He's found a game.
7 10-point leads this season. They've won every one of those games.
And there they go again. Nice deflection right there.
And the pull-up from downtown for Paul George. He is not disappointed. 13 for number.
Montrezl Harrell has come on for the Clippers. Well, the best bench in the NBA. George, nice hesitation. He got hit. And he'll go to the line for the three-point play.
Leonard and George. Paul George now with 6 3-pointers. Here's Westbrook. Oh, he's rejected by George.
5 shots tonight. He's 4 for 5. George drives in on Gabe, puts it off the window and in. He wants a whistle. He's not going to get it.
Hard hooping defensive team that looks to run it. They look like that team right now. Keep playing out of the timeout. And Paul George, hey, shot maker.
He will fire from anywhere, as you just seen.
Lead trimmed into single digits. Paul George spots an entry to the rim, hit hard, counted and a foul, and send him to the line. George, the drive to the rim, yes. Timeout.
Patrick Beverly made a great rotation, stepped up to take the charge, and Morant went straight up and came straight down.
George for the lead, got it!
This team, this Denver team, they have some resolve now. They will not go away. They'll continue to keep playing.
George from 15, the fadeaway flick is good. Clippers by 11.
In here, he's going to have to keep this up.
But this is who he was all of last year. Counted on a foul and send him back to the line. Now 1 for 4 to open up all of his shots outside the paint. George for 3, and the Clippers have made their last 5 shots. They lead by 5, 17-12.
Easy when you're happy. You know, it's easy when you're happy. You're in a nurturing, good environment, and that's no indictment on anybody, but this NBA is like that.
Last year, in terms of points scored together, they've only gotten better. How about a turnover? Here comes Paul George. Oh, my! He covered a lot of ground.
Who was always playing for the right reasons. Wants to win every single night. You also always have a chance when Paul George is making shots like that, partner.
It's their decision-making when they do so.
Paul George launches a 3 and rattles that in.
George, 2-man game with Zubats. Calls his own number. Gets to the rim with a right hand and lays it in. He did that last March here against the Knicks. Clippers get the rebound. Here comes Montrez. Down the lane and down the hatch it goes. Gets his first rebound. Throws it away. George gets it back with Oubre to beat it. He flushes it in. And stares him down after the flush. TJ McConnell is back on the bench. Joining TJ Leaf. George, wraparound pass to Zubats, and he lays it in. Counted on a foul. Give him 1 more on the house.
That's funny you say that. I mean, you got 3 guys that are motivated to really come out here and play well today.
The step away from Paul George. George and Leonard play catch late in the clock for Paul George. The Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George is out there. He's only played 18 minutes. Flings a 3. He has 6 threes tonight.
Harden beat Beverly off the dribble. George on a 2-on-1 took it the length of the court.
5-2 start for Sacramento. They lost last night at home in the capital city as Paul George lays it in.
This team goes with Donovan Mitchell. So for me, he needs to be an all-star.
Levin Larson, here's George. Oh, takes it to the house and punches.